I don't know if there's anything quite as stress-inducing as logging into your student loan provider after you graduate and finally seeing that number that you owe. Like, I just logged in today and I just saw the number that I owe.
Student loan borrowers and defaults will likely start seeing smaller paychecks soon as the current administration plans to begin garnishing wages. It's a tough situation, and people obviously hate seeing part of their paycheck taken away. But the reality is simple. If you took out a loan for school, eventually you'll have to repay it. Up to 15% of your income could be garnished, or your yearly tax return could be seized. That might not sound like the end of the world, but it definitely hurts. Right now, aggressive wage garnishment seems to be the new normal. The government is cracking down hard on anyone who has defaulted on their student loans. Currently, about 2 million Americans have fallen into default, and that number is only expected to keep rising. And if you think about it, wage garnishment is no small issue. You definitely don't want to be the person whose paycheck is being sliced before it even hits the bank. This person says, "An ex-boyfriend of mine has student loans from decades ago, paid virtually nothing back. Loans were sold and resold many times. The only way he's avoided being garnished is to live a very unstable financial life, poor credit, no assets in the name, and basically off-grid financially for a decade to avoid debts, including student loans." That story is absolutely wild. So for now, we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. Because if you're someone who refuses to pay your student loans and want to avoid wage garnishment, your only option might be to go completely off-grid. But realistically, no one's actually going to do that. That's basically financial suicide. If you default on your student loans and end up facing wage garnishment, your credit score will nosedive. It can drop so low that getting a house, a car, or even an apartment might become nearly impossible. Some landlords might refuse to rent to you altogether. Things like that are becoming more common, and people are understandably frustrated. On top of that, many Americans simply can't afford their student loan payments because they're already living paycheck to paycheck. The cost of living has gotten insanely high. Everything feels overpriced, and people are asking, how can I possibly afford these massive student loans with sky-high interest rates when I can barely afford groceries? Check out some of these videos.
If your student loans are in default or you owe past due balances, May 5th is going to come quick. So they have said that on May 5th, if you are in default or you owe past due balances, they are going to start sending letters to collections. Another thing they're going to do is they're going to give you 30 days to start making payments. And if you don't start making payments within those 30 days, they are going to start taking actions to garnish wages. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want anybody garnishing my wages because then they have control of what they can take out. I would rather just make the payments.
Having a college degree is only valuable if you're using that degree to do a line of work that you're obsessed with. So if you're doing that, you're winning. But the average person, that's not the case for them. I know so many people that were sold into the college experience because it would make you more well-rounded and it's going to help you get a good job. And now they're $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in debt working for fucking $20 an hour. Standard education system in America, it's absolutely trash. And the fact that we even allow 18-year-olds to take out loans that are that big when they have no concept as to what that's actually going to do to their life, like, I just think it's crazy, honestly.
Degree in software engineering is not what it used to be. 4 or 5 years ago, when your great aunt asked you what you were going to major in college and you said software engineering, and she replied, "Oh, you'll always have a job with that major." My husband helps a lot of recent college grads land roles in tech, and what he's seeing over and over again is engineering students transitioning to something like tech sales. Reason being, a lot of college programs for engineering are not as rigorous as they used to be, which means that grads are graduating without the competency to excel in an entry-level software engineering job. On top of that, a lot of their work is getting automated by AI. And then what he actually sees most commonly is people come to terms with the reality that being a software engineer is long 10-hour days, minimal human involvement, fixing back-end code in some company's security software. If that's your jam, that's awesome. Software engineering could be a great role for you. But if that sounds like your worst nightmare, then it might be time to pivot. What's cool is sales is a great way to get that human involvement, but then still have a foundation in tech, which for a lot of people, that's why they were interested in software to begin with.
Hi there, I took out loans for college and I owe it all back. I made a conscious decision to get a bachelor's degree. I also chose to get a higher education and I owe it. I don't have a problem with it. I want to pay off my student loans. The problem that I have is my interest rate alone is $1,400 a month. That's not even me making a payment towards my actual loan. That's the problem. And I chose to go back into teaching because I'm taking advantage of the public loan forgiveness program, but my teaching salary, along with my loans and my $1,400 interest rate, they don't match. Like, they don't go together. I'm just a regular mom, 3 kids, just living an average life. That's the problem. And this is where people are getting upset about, is that they are taking out these loans. The interest rates are so high. People are struggling to pay them. They're just struggling just to live in this economy.
I owe the federal government $141,366.92. I went to undergrad. I went to medical school. I made a TikTok earlier about how I took out way too many loans. Anyway, I was not paying anything. I was under the Biden era save repayment plan. I had 0% interest, and then my loans went into forbearance and I was living the dream. But I got this email that reminded me, July 2024, there was a federal court injunction and they went for that 0% interest, baby. They were like, no, 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 no. And in February 2025, there was a second injunction, and that 0% interest, they're like, literally get rid of that. That shit's not happening anymore. Although the loans are still in forbearance, interest is accruing, and I don't want to get further into debt, but I'm also unemployed, so.
Every time I sit down to do my homework and I look at my assignments and I see I have an English assignment and I click on it and it happens to be the most useless assignment I've ever seen that will never further my education, I literally start praising ChatGPT. I start praying to ChatGPT, oh my gosh, please take away English class, please take away English class, please make English teachers' jobs useless. Because why is this the most useless class I've ever taken? I swear I've been writing the same essay since I was in 6th grade. The only thing that's ever changed in my learning of English and writing and composition is the MLA format and bibliography. Oh, it's been the same exact thing, just more words since 6th grade. And then English teachers found the way to be most insufferable, rude people ever. It's literally just about how much they like you as their grading. It's so dumb. Please, Donald, ChatGPT, please save me. ChatGPT, please save me. Like, I just can't wait for the day that ChatGPT takes away English class. This is so useless.
So I'm currently unemployed and I graduated from Cornell University a few years ago. And I think a lot of us can relate to grinding super hard in college, putting in the work, and we've been told if you do that, then you're going to be successful and your career is going to work out for you. But that's not the case. I have so many friends who also went to amazing schools and have great work history, but they're also really struggling to find work right now because it's just a really hard job market. So I know it can be discouraging, but we're going to find the right opportunity, and just know that you're not alone.
So I got in the mail that it was time for me to pay my student loans. I'm still in school, so I called them and I was like, hey, you guys got the wrong gal. I was like, not yet. But anyways, I was looking at the bill, and when I graduate, will be paying $300 a month. And now, so I thought, it's like a medical bill, like you don't actually have to pay those. Yeah, no. Guys, pay your student loans, because I just looked up how bad your credit will be fucked when you don't pay your student loan. Hear it from me first, okay? Don't do it. Do it. Pay your bill.
If you are a student loan borrower and you are in default as of 2020 when the COVID program stopped everything from being collected on, your wages are going to get garnished starting May 5th. No, I'm not kidding. The jokes truly write themselves. But the Trump administration has said that they're going to start garnishing wages of all the borrowers that are specifically in default. And when the COVID program happened, about 5 million people were in default, and I'm sure that once we all have to start actually paying back our loans, a lot of us are going to go into default. Of course, they're just pushing us to, get income-driven payment plans, and yeah, but it's just like we were promised to go to college and get these high-paying jobs, and none of us are getting hired, and now we have to pay back all this money, and I get it. I got a service, all that. Totally cool with me. But, yeah, I just feel like it's all very abrupt and not giving anybody time to actually set up the ability to do this when we were kind of fed bullshit down the tube to begin with.
Is here about that girl who, she's a high school teacher, and she also like teaches yoga on the side and is really into student well-being and student mental health and supporting student mental health. So she went back to get her doctorate degree, and she's currently in school. She took out student loans, obviously was prepared to like have to pay back student loans, but thinks it's well worth it. And however, her summer tuition isn't covered by her student loans. So she started posting on TikTok, and her TikToks like blew up, which started to be able to help her pay back her tuition and her student loans, which is affording her now being able to go back into the field and try to change the system to better support student well-being in our education system. Oh, also she's a new mom. Yeah, she decided to have a baby while in grad school, pursuing her doctorate while also being a high school teacher. Yeah, I don't know why she did that. That was a bold move. But yeah, her baby is like not even a month old. So anyways, want to just press that like or follow? That'd be great.
I'm not sure how relatable this is going to be for my viewer demographic, but I need to talk about the debt that I'm swimming and drowning in and the anxiety that I have every day. Horrible anxiety because of it. Now, me personally, I am almost, I'd say about $200,000 in debt total, with all my student loans and credit card debt and just other debt. So, like, and I know I chose to go to NYU. I don't regret it at all. I loved living in New York City. I loved NYU, and we all knew I was crying about it like 2 years ago when I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in debt after I graduate. But now that we have to like pay it back, I'm extremely alarmed and really scared and terrified. And like, obviously living in New York is really, really expensive. So I have a lot of credit cards that I'm pretty much maxed out on. So don't really have any credit that I can use, and my credit score sucks because of that and because of my loans. So that's really cool. Also, I just took literally like the first job I was offered after I graduated because I didn't have a job, and debt, credit cards, medical bills, and they're paying me literally the bare minimum. But I wanted to move back to New York City as soon as possible because I wanted to, like, what 24-year-old doesn't want to go back to living on their own? Like, I don't want to live with my parents, no offense. So I'm going to do that because I love New York City. So I know what you're thinking. Wow, you're really crazy because you're in that much debt and you're going to go move to the most expensive city in the world. Yes, I am. With that being said, more than half of my monthly income will be going towards my rent. So I have to get a second job to work in order to live in New York City. And still with that second job, I'm going to be struggling to pay my bills. And then how am I going to have fun? Like, what? Like, going out to dinner one night cost me like $100. And don't even get me started on the medical bills because I keep getting these notices that I have to pay like $20 for an appointment I went to like 2 years ago. And then they're like, we're going to send you to collections. So that is fun. I also have a dentist appointment next week, and they're going to literally be like, you have 8 cavities. So looking forward to that bill as well. But yeah, like, I really just want to cry and scream and throw up all day, every day. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. So might as well live it up in New York City and go into more debt.
I borrowed just under $200,000 for my education, so that included undergrad and law school. But it was $198,876.01 if we're being exact. And currently I've paid that exact same amount back, $198,876.01. I really wish that meant that I was just done paying off my student loans, but unfortunately not all that money's gone straight towards principal. It's also had to cover interest that's been accrued. So about 2/3 has gone towards principal and the other third has paid back interest. So to date, it is $66,498.55 in interest. And something interesting, just because The amount that I've paid back is the exact same as the amount that I originally borrowed. Currently, my payoff amount is the exact same as the accrued interest, so that same $66,498.55. What's really crazy is that $27,000 of that interest accrued just while I was still in school. And the majority of that really while I was in law school. When I was in undergrad, I borrowed $20,000 in student loans, and that accrued about $2,500 in interest while I was still in undergrad. So I actually paid all of that off during college while I was serving in bartending. And then when I went straight through to law school, I borrowed an additional about $180,000. So those new loans combined with my $20,000 of student debt from undergrad accrued $24,417.54 in the 3 years that I was in law school, and then the 6-month grace period before I had to start paying back the loans. And mind you, these were government student loans with fixed interest rates between 3.8 and 7.6% interest. They weren't variable. It wasn't double-digit interest rates. Now, it took me about another year after that 6-month grace period to actually be able to start paying the loans back, just while I was passing the bar, moving states, getting a job, all that stuff. And during that time, I accrued another $9,340.30 in interest. So by the time I actually started paying them back, 8 years after I took out the first loan, they had accrued $36,294.83 in interest. Because of the interest that I paid off in undergrad, it made a small dent. But when I actually started paying them back, I owed $231,179.28. I've been repaying the loans for 4 years and 9 months now. And during that time is where the additional $30,000 in interest has come in. But I'm now accruing less than $250 a month in interest. And when I first started, I was accruing about $1,300 a month in interest. So I've come a long way. So my student loan balance is down from $231,179.28 down to $66,498.55. And my goal is to get them completely paid off within the next about 14 months. So follow along.
Hi, my name is Casey, and I am in $150,000 of student loan debt. So if you don't already know, I am a physician assistant, and I graduated PA school with $260,000 of debt. I know, ridiculous. So that is combined with my undergrad. I went to Penn State, so a big state school, and my parents helped as much as they could, but they raised 3 of us kids, and I wish they could have afforded to pay it for our entire college career, and I'm so grateful that they helped in the way they did, but I did not expect them to pay in full for all 3 of our college careers. So from undergrad, I had about $100,000 of debt, and then in PA school, I accumulated another $160,000. And granted, yes, I was very irresponsible looking back. I took out the maximum amount of student loan money that they would let us live off of. They would give you an allotted sum each quarter to pay rent, pay for groceries, and I was living large. I thought that money was just free money to me. I even went on a cruise during PA school with my friends. Obviously wouldn't regret and take back any of that because I had the time of my life. Let me tell you, I loved PA school. I loved the friends I met. I loved the school I went to. I lived in Portland, Maine for 2 years. It was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But again, could I have been more responsible? Yes. Trying to pay down this debt, I've been a PA going on 8 years now. So I have paid down my debt significantly from $260 to $150. But the $150 still hanging over my head just seems nearly impossible and never ending to go away. I go back and forth between, do I want to live very frugally and lock myself up, not do anything fun, and just pay down as much debt as I can? Or do I want to continue to live my life and enjoy all the moments that I have in my early 30s right now? And again, in my 20s, I enjoyed every bit of my life. I have a 4-month-old now, so I'm starting a family. I plan to have more kids. It's just like the burden of student loans. I can cry. You feel lost, but I think TikTok's helped me gauge that I'm not the only one in this kind of student loan debt. I wish I made more money and I wish I could work multiple jobs, but that's just not feasible to my lifestyle now with a kid. It's crazy how when you're young, you're like, I'm gonna be a girl boss, I'm gonna have a badass career, I'm gonna work my ass off, and no kid's stopping me from, not having that career in my future. But then you have a kid and everything changes. I want to be able to spend time with my kid, raise my child, not have to work countless hours and multiple jobs to pay my student loans off. It's just really hard. I have days where I'm motivated to work as hard as I can, to try to make as much money as I can. And then I have days where I'm like, none of that matters now, because I want to spend time with my child. So it's really hard and just being like fully transparent with how much debt I have, and one day it will be gone, but I don't want to be old when it's gone. I want to be young and still be able to have fun and enjoy it. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate on here to the student loan debt crisis and not making enough salary-wise to be able to pay off your debt quickly. In the next 5 years, I can pay another $150 off, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So just figured I'd share with you for the morning. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll chat soon. Bye.